It's Lexi.
It's Christian.
Today on our channel we are going to be doing some silicone molds, and I'm really excited because this is a new process to me, and so we're going to see what this is all about. Christian has done a few things, so we have some examples here. Since ours won't be, we have to let it sit, so yeah.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to do what's called a one-part mold. The benefit of a one-part mold is you actually don't need to worry about seam lines, and you can just actually, when you're done with your part that you're molding, in this case we're going to be doing our name tags. It's got a nice flat bottom, and this will be really beneficial for a one-part mold. But the benefit is we can just pull them out, and then we have a negative of our shape that we can then pour the plastic into. Some other options you can do is, typically what I do is a two-part mold, and this is actually a pretty ugly, pretty old one. It's gotten some use. The benefit of doing these molds is it is what they do for most of the props you see in movies, but you figure that 3D printed lightsaber took about 10-12 hours to print. You can actually cast a new part out of this mold in about 20 minutes, so it lets you do quite a few. These are the silicone we're using. We're using some pretty standard stuff. It's from Smooth On. This is pretty much your go-to for almost anything. This is actually the trial size because we don't need a larger amount, but it is more economical to buy the larger container. So it comes in two parts, almost all of their stuff does. And it's mixed one by one by either volume or weight, and so make sure you read your stuff on here. So this is either. So we're going to do it by weight with our scale here. It's very important to get this mixture correct, otherwise what you have happen is it won't cure. So we wind up with kind of a semi-sticky, semi-solid part, and it'll just be useless. So what we need to do is we actually need to create a compartment that we're going to hold all the silicone in. So I'm going to lay out my name tag, and I'm going to actually put it, we got foam core right here, so we'll need to cut some out. We'll each cut a piece. I'm going to lay it on the foam core. Make sure you guys can see over there. And I'm actually just going to kind of eyeball how much I want. The walls shouldn't be too thick. Cool. So we just finished up our boxes, and we're actually getting ready to now mix the silicone and start to pour it in. It's very important to make sure you have everything laid out that you're going to need before you mix the silicone, because as soon as you combine those two parts, you have a really short window of working.
Okay.
Depends on the silicone. I think for us, we actually have about 15-25 minutes of cure time before it'll actually go off and we just can't mess with it anymore. So it's a 1-to-1 mixture of either part for almost all the Smooth On stuff, but especially for us, and it says it very clearly. So we'll start with our scale here, and let's go ahead and I'll move my box aside for now. So silicone has this really nasty tendency of, because it's so thick, trapping air bubbles in it. So that would look, A, would look pretty bad in the mold. But B, if we get air bubbles on the surface of the part, those are going to be captured by the silicone, and when we pour the plastic back in, we'll have all those deformities on the new part. What we're going to do is very low tech, and it's something that every user could do without having to go buy one of those. Is we're just going to pour a very thin strand onto the part, and we're going to make sure we get the first couple layers to be kind of over the details of what we want to capture. So to do that, we're actually going to pour really high. we come back, what we can do is we're actually going to check that it's firm, so it'll actually be pretty solid. It'll be a little squishy. We'll actually be able to tear off the foam core, and it'll come off really clean. It's not going to stick to the silicone. And then we're actually going to make our molds. So we will pour our liquid plastic into it. This is also from Smooth On. They make really good stuff, really easy to work with. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Sounds good.
Cool.
We'll be back.
Heck yeah.
All right, we're back today. It's been a few days now, so our, I don't know, stuff, molds cured, and they are pretty solid. So we're ready to, I think, take them out of this.
So there's my guy, and you can see there's a little bit of silicone that came over the edge and kind of got underneath it. That's called flashing. And so the best way to actually handle that is you just cut it off with an X-Acto. So like this is a really good example of flashing, is you have just a little bit over the top. You can kind of see. I believe we have a cure time about 15 minutes.
Okay.
And a working time of probably around 5. So as opposed to the silicone, which gave us a really long time to work with, we're going to have to be pretty quick.
Okay.
This one is also a 1-to-1 by volume.
Okay.
So we're actually going to do the same stuff. We're going to grab the scale, and we're actually going to cast it up. And then it is exothermic, so it's going to get pretty hot. So we're going to make sure we want to mix it quickly. We've got our nice cups here. As soon as you put it in there, we're going to set it aside, let it do its thing, and come back in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Let's get to mixing.
All right.
Once it starts to kind of kick some heat, that's when I'm going to...
You know it's ready. Okay.
And actually, there's a really fine line between when it's perfect and when it's too set to go.
Okay.
It'll be a little gummy, and at that point, just call it and go for something else.
All right, so we think our stuff's all cured, our mold.
It's been about 15 minutes, and one important thing to mention is in case, like us, in any of the steps with the silicone or the plastic, you make a mess, just simple isopropyl handles that really well if you're having a hard time using water and getting it off.
Yeah.
It seems to be a little better at grabbing that stuff. Otherwise, if it's a combined of those two, of either the silicone or the plastic, just let them cure, let them go off, and they'll pull right off it, pretty much anything.
Okay.
So, but yeah, so same process as before. We're going to go ahead and just kind of try to push it out. And you're going to need a little bit of the flashing over it. That's fine. Cool. And there we are. There's mine. So you can definitely see, oh, wow, yeah. So yours actually didn't get any bubbles in it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mine got quite a few. By quite a few, I mean about 6. I'm pretty okay with that. That's fine. It's a larger name, so it's really not going to be seen. But, yeah, if you notice, mine's a little flexible, so it could still use a little bit of cure time.
Okay.
So the next stages would be cutting off this flashing once it's hard. Sanding down the bottom to kind of flatten it out if you have any excess on the bottom. And then just painting it up.
Okay.
So I usually like to use like an airbrush.
Oh.
But you can hand paint it in acrylic. But I think this is probably where we'll stop with these guys.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sounds good.